I'm San Diego native.
I'm a San Diego native.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go us.
What high school did you go to?
Granite. Granite Hills. Oh, see, we didn't like you.
No, we didn't like you.
Sorry.
Oh, I brought my own.
But my,
Good thing we're out of high school now.
What year?
87.
Okay. I'm not telling you what year.
Well, we write paranormal and hi.
Just turning my phones off. Carrie's mom's here.
Hi, Carrie's mom. I never met you. But if you're not familiar with paranormal romance, it's usually set in the contemporary world, but there are otherworldly things in the book. It could be anything from vampires, fairies, demons, ghosts, anything, which is why I enjoy writing it, because it's like your regular world, but anything can happen. And that bump in the night, there might be a real reason why it's not the hot water heater. So I enjoy that because I came from a horror writer background, so the difference is that my paranormal romances all have happy endings. but typically in my horror short stories, the narrator may not live, so it's a little bit different, but the dark feeling of it is still the same, and you don't typically get sex in a horror novel, but you do in a paranormal romance novel, and the guys all look like this and like this. There are no fat werewolves. No demons with spare tires.
They do have horns though.
Oh, yours have horns?
When they shift, yeah.
Nice. And which book are your books all in one series?
Yes. The King Brothers. The King Brothers are they have demon, human, and fairy blood in them. And the blood doesn't always mix well, and so they try to squish one side down or squish the other side down, and it always rebounds on them. So the fairy side is the healing side, and the demon side is the bad side. Bad guys are good, and good guys are good. And there's bad guys in there somewhere. Oh, my vampires are bad. My vampires are very bad.
Ooh, my vampires are sexy.
Mine are sexy. Mine are sexy.
They're bad.
They're
okay.
bad sexy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's vampires in the first one. There's not vampires in the second one.
Do your demons kill the vampires?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, they do actually. Because they're sort of the guardians. They work for the Council of the Fae.
Okay.
The tribreds work for the Council of the Fae.
Okay. Okay.
I'm sure he's taken. Start learning.
I got my start writing short stories. Are any of you in here writers? I know some of you are. You're a writer too? Awesome. Short stories are an excellent way to learn about writing. Oh my gosh, you gotta be a writer! So short stories are a great way to learn and also to try new things because you're not locked in for a whole novel. And when I started, I wrote short stories and I published them. They were mostly horror short stories. And then when I wrote Nightwalker, it didn't fit into one genre, and I had a really hard time getting it published, to the point of it kind of stole my joy for writing. I stopped writing for a little while, and then I was lucky enough to meet Ray Bradbury, and he was amazing and so enthusiastic and full of love and passion for writing, and I asked him what he could recommend to improve my writing, because I was sure it must be me, not my book. I thought he would recommend a book, and instead he recommended, he looked at me and said, you need to write a new short story every week for a year. And he said, at the end of the year, you'll be a different writer. And I thought, you're nuts! Oh my gosh! I left, and it took me a few months to wrap my brain around that challenge, because Immortal Beloved and Subito Piano that are in this book took me a little over a month each to write and polish. So the thought of writing and polishing a short story in a week seemed impossible. So finally, after a few months, I had an idea, and I thought, okay, I'm going to try. And it took me the whole week, and I barely got it done that Sunday night, but I did, and I posted it on my blog. And I started doing it, and I did it every week. It was so fun. I did it for 18 months. So I ended with, I have over 100 short stories. And this book I put together just because it was a labor of love for Ray Bradbury stories. But these are my favorite 25 of the 100 that I came up with. And surprisingly, they're not all horror. But it was a great exercise, and it was really fun, and he was right. That's you have to remember that you write for love, not for money. And sure enough, I did eventually sell my book, and I've written a few more books, and I wrote a whole other series that came out of the short stories that I wrote during that time period. So it ended up being a really great thing. So if you like to write, don't be afraid of short stories. They're an excellent way to get moving, and I got to use it in my query letters because Immortal Beloved was a finalist for a Bram Stoker Award. So I was able to put that in my query letters to publishers and agents, and it just gives you a little bit more, that you're professional and that this isn't a hobby kind of thing. So if you're a writer, I really recommend. There are magazines, and now that there are so many e-publishers, you can publish short stories. When I was doing them, it was like you had to find an anthology and get in, or a magazine, and that was it. But now there are publishers who are looking for short stories to, show readers your voice and that kind of thing. So there are a lot more options for them now than there were. So, that's a thought for those who. And if you're a reader, they're fun because you can read them while you're in the dentist's office, right? Carrie was posting, I read it at the dentist's office. So if you need a quick read, short stories are fun for that too.
So are your books romances?
Yes.
Tell us about your heroines. I want to know.
Her mother died early, drug addict, and she is, the book opens as she's been walking from this hospital all the way to, it's about a 9-mile walk all the way to the 3rd Street Promenade. I did research on that.
There you go.
And looking for Gabrielle Kane, because she was in the waiting room, I call it that. She was in a coma. She basically overdosed on her married lover's front yard, and they took her to the hospital, and she's been in a coma for a while. And so while she's in the coma, she's in this afterlife, between worlds type of place. She calls the waiting room. And she's told that she can't be there. It's typically purgatory, but I didn't want to call it purgatory. But she's told she can't be there. She's not allowed to, she personally is not allowed to be in purgatory. There's something about her that she cannot be in purgatory. So she's sent back with the task to save Gabrielle Kane. That's her job. She has to save Gabrielle Kane. And at the beginning of the book, she doesn't know what that's going to encompass. But when she does run into Gabrielle Kane, it's early morning in the 3rd Street Promenade. I don't know if you guys have been there, but it's an outdoor mall, a couple of huge city blocks long, and they close off the street so you can't, in a couple places, so you can't drive through it. And it's misty. It's by the beach. It's misty. It's heavy mist, and she's sitting there, and she's got a blister on one foot. And she's tired. She's cold. She's hungry. She has no money. She has no purse. She knows her name, but she has no place to live. And Gabriel comes walking toward her, and he's got this. Okay, I stole this. The black coat from
Matrix?
Spike.
Oh,
Yes, no, I knew it was
Yeah.
Spike's coat. I knew it was Spike's coat, and I was like, oh, hi, Gabriel.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, the black coat. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And she sees him coming toward her through the mist, and that's her first, and he's going, would you shut up? Because she's been going, Gabriel Kane, mentally, Gabriel Kane, where are you, Gabriel Kane? And she's basically been broadcasting to anybody who's open, who can receive that kind of thing. And he's been hearing her, and he's got this pounding headache because he's been hearing her for hours.